So, abstraction from reality. When I use words like I to talk about non-duality, part of me feels like I'm reinforcing the illusion. But when I avoid using I, it feels like another layer of performance. Since all language is an abstraction from reality anyways, is avoiding I actually a deeper illusion than just using it? It's an interesting question.
Yeah, and I think everything that he said in the question is true at different, parts of depending on what you're experiencing. Um, I definitely think when your relationship to the self or I starts to change, then I think it can be very helpful to um well, I think it maybe is natural to start thinking about, like what is this I that I'm using to represent this self that I'm starting to see is this construction that is an illusion in my mind. And then saying things like, this body to represent the thing that is arising within the experience might be more helpful when that's your experience. But obviously, it can be very dependent on what you're going through. I think that's valid, of course. And then that might shift again. And then the term I just becomes very benign. And just as anyone who's not going through some kind of self-realization, you're just using it because language is limited. It is an abstraction of experience. Um, and then I think only when you're in that period of really dismantling what's happening do the terms like the body, this, what is arising, really help you sort of push through that. Um, and then it's just sort of sounds like nonsense either side of it as well. Um,
Yeah.
I know that was definitely my experience for a time when uh, I started to relate to people who use that kind of language. I was like, it is actually quite helpful for me to remove myself from this term that has defined the self for my entire life up until now.
Yeah. And I think that you said something about, well, at least I heard it that way, that you kind of have to embrace all of the experiences. So
Yeah.
sometimes you're going to feel that what you are, what this I is, consciousness, or I'm the body. Sometimes you can use the word I. But what I find interesting is that whatever it is, you have to embrace. So if sometimes you don't want to use the word I and it feels like a performance, like, oh, I'm so special, I'm so spiritual now that I can't even say I to refer to me. If that feels awkward and that feels kind of ridiculous, then there's a little bit of judgment there, which is not, it's not bad. And therefore, you should, you can explore that even by yourself. I think a lot of people kind of talk to themselves. I think it's more common than people think. And so, even if you're talking to yourself, play with that like you're speaking to someone else. Oh, I don't know exactly how they would refer to themselves because I've never done that myself. But especially if it feels awkward or embarrassing or ridiculous to say the body or to say, I can't use the word I, explore how that feels. And then at another time, use the word I, like everybody else does. The point here is that these are kind of all parts of the ego. Both the one that is ordinary, that just, uses the word I like everybody else, and the one that wants to be kind of fancy and spiritual. And ultimately, none of them are real. And whatever we have an issue with, so it's like the part of you that thinks it's performance, probably that's the one that needs to be explored a little bit more. And when you explore it enough, you'll see that it's just as kind of an illusion as the other one. It's like in the end, it doesn't matter. It's like what's happening now, just do that, what feels natural, and that's it.
Yeah. And the part about so the sort of active avoidance of I being a deeper illusion than just using it. I think that's a good thing to mention because if the ego thinks there's something special or like you can activate something, you know, have an insight or some major thing will happen if you resist using the term I, then you can notice that you're doing that. If
Yeah.
you think that doing that adds something to your experience because it's special, then that would be something to know as well.
Yeah. And I was just gonna add that ultimately all of this stuff is supposed to just be fun. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like playing almost like a kid. And so, maybe even I could try that because I've never really explored that. It hasn't been something that I'm attracted to. But if I were to feel that it's a little silly, I wouldn't be like, "Oh, I'm not going to say that." I would just say it and see what do I feel. It's like I want to say never be afraid to be ridiculous, but actually you can. I mean, just you can be afraid. Everything is allowed, basically, right?
Yeah, I think it's a really good point about the being fun because it can all seem so incredibly serious and it's just
Yeah.
really not, at the end of the day, it's to be enjoyed. Yeah.
And the final thing, and then we'll go to the next question. Um, After all of that, if you explore all that, you'll realize that the word I is just the most convenient and the easiest way to refer to you, right?
Mhm.
That's it. It's just so easy. Okay. So the next question. Okay. So this is from Tony. Let me just open the question. So